on the topic also.
Sachin, before Amit starts, I must comment, Amit, that the presentation, very short presentation that you made, actually made us fear that we may be already obsolete.
No, no. As you know, and Sachin, first of all, on that question, I agree that there'll be more virtual. I'm not a lawyer, sorry, but having worked with so many lawyers and closely been working with them even now, I think there'll be more virtual and less physical, because the pandemic has come now, but God forbid if similar situations happen, we know pollution is a problem. We know there could be more pandemic situations, weather-related things. So these act of God are not in our control, but having to prepare for it is better than to be handicapped in future. So I think even considering the advantages of technology, there could be situations where we will be forced to use more of virtual than being able to do physical. But to that comment also, I'd like to say that India has so much potential. As I said, US has one lawyer per 200 citizens, and we have one lawyer per 1800 citizens. So there's a long way to go. So there'll be some things where basic stuff where people don't even have access to legal, service right now. How many of us even read our license agreement that we sign up on? Nobody does that. And then there is a problem where our data gets stolen and we don't have any legal option because we agreed to it. So if there's a bot that can review that agreement and highlight that this is something you have to be careful of. Because there was this joke done by a gaming company in the UK, where in their license agreement for 1 week they added this line saying that you give me your soul permanently, if you agree to this. That's what it said. And people agreed to it. So
no business lawyer is going to help you with this, and will take it, because if something is highlighted to the customer basically on the side.
I don't know if you use Cred, this app. I started using it recently, but it gives you one message at the end of it after analyzing your credit card statement, which says there are no hidden charges, and that's what I want to know. I don't want to go through my statement. That one WhatsApp message that comes after it reviews. Of course, you have to give access to your emails to that app to work. But there's a way of doing it. But those things, if get automated, everybody will have access to it. And then when you start that journey, you would definitely reach out to a lawyer for more bespoke situations, more complex situations where you need a person to consult. But on that question, I think there'll be more virtual, definitely. And maybe you never know, there'll be a courtroom in the metaverse where we'll have VR goggles sitting in, and we'll not even feel that we are virtual, right? So I have done this one conference call with a client of mine, and I used the Oculus VR headset. For at least 90% of it felt real, if I don't have to move around and do stuff, you can still move around. But the VR technology is going so advanced and so fast, there could be a point where you'll be doing virtual, but you'll feel you are physical. So that could be as soon as maybe a couple of years.
Yes, but my observation is slightly different on this. There are two observations. One is that technology, even the villages and tier 3 cities have taken them very nicely. I come from a remote part of the country, Uttarakhand. I believe all the people who come from the different state, different district of Uttarakhand have used the phone so effectively for the litigation purposes and to contract with the client and the court. It's very phenomenal. But the loss we experienced these 2 years is human touch. Basically, lawyering is a profession where we learn by the peers. Peer learning is absent in the technology learning. This is my only 2 points.
Sorry, before I conclude. Yeah. I think one another point which got missed out is the health and mental health side of things. Doing too many cases, one year in Gujarat High Court, one in Maharashtra High Court, Mumbai High Court. Imagine lawyers after mentally and health-wise also, it becomes too much, beyond a point. So we also have to draw a balance of how much we want to do, even if it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've heard too much about private practice and courts and stuff. So I'm an in-house counsel, so I'd like to talk about what exactly happened, in terms of technology within the corporate legal departments, right? Because I think that's where I have my expertise on, I would like to think. So drastic change, I would say, starting from humble beginnings like NDA, right? So I think it's been 6 years that I probably even saw an NDA. So what happened to NDAs? They're all automated now. You've got, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, everything built in, because if this is not acceptable, this is the next thing that the client or the customer or whoever the case may be, the other party can actually do. And then that was a humble beginning. And then we moved on to various things where we are today now. Most of the things within the corporate legal department is actually automated, starting from invoicing, right? Because now we don't do anything. The law firms actually have access to our in-house invoicing systems. They upload the invoices. Everything is automated. Whoever has to approve, everything is already in there. The attorney just keys in, their bit as to whether they approve or not approve, and their comments, and it's done, right? And then in terms of compliance, there are a whole bunch of compliance tools, right? I mean, one corporate has, depending on the kind of business, there are a whole bunch of compliances that are to be dealt with, and not just legal compliances or regulatory compliances. It may be financial, it may be taxation, it may be anything. So today we've got a comprehensive compliance tool where the respective departments, all we need to do is just run the report. If there are any red flags, just mitigate the risk and manage the risk. That's it, right? I mean, life has become actually simple. And in terms of litigation management as such, again, the invoicing software has actually scaled up and not just does invoice management as such, but it does a whole bunch of other things ranging from litigation to, managing your commercial transactions to whatnot. And then coming to commercial transactions, another big thing is contract management software, right? I mean, which company in the world today does not use software for their contract management? Because that's a global tool again. All the lawyers on board, everybody knows what's happening. So these are, a few things that I wanted to touch upon, and thanks for the opportunity.
I'd like you to introduce all yourself also. That's good to us.
Sure. I'm Smita. I'm the GC for a company called Harman International. You would have heard of JBL and Harman Kardon speakers, so we manufacture that, and it's a subsidiary of Samsung. Thank you.
Great, Sita. I was part of Samsung earlier. Hi, Mr. Uberg, you want to speak about something this about the technology and how you can give us the guidance on Sweden side, how in Sweden this technology is working on the legal side.
I am representing in INBA in Northern Europe, a little of the rest also. So I'm working with INBA and Europe things and arranged some trips there and so on for earlier with INBA. About 5 days a month, I'm functioning as a judge in an administrative court in Sweden, besides the full-time professionals. Now, my reflections, and I have been, let me say, I have visited India every year since 1995, so I know India. Okay. Now, let me say something, but I want to broaden the discussion because I agree with everything you have said so far. The thing is that post-COVID, when does it come? I say we don't know. A few days back, the news from South Africa about this new mutation, who is a specialist in making new mutations, means that nobody knows where this is going. Then we have the thing that with the COVID, there comes a lot of temporary laws in many countries. In my country, Sweden, there was also that. And we have to understand old laws in a new way because they wasn't planned for a COVID case. So we have to think that. And then we have to say, well, discussion here is about the technique. But think about the technique. Are you controlling the technique or will the technique control you? Are you trusting that the red flag will come up? What if it doesn't? Who is responsible for that? Are you as a lawyer responsible for the red flag not come up? Or is it the technique, and who is the technique? And the programmer, does the programmer understand the legal issues and so on? So the program will only do what you can, and then add the artificial intelligence who change these things by itself. What do you know how that understand what's going to happen? I say there's a huge challenges with this technique. It solves so many problems initially when you see, but the more advanced and complex it becomes, the more risks are there. And you also need a bunch of lawyers for handling that, to take legal questions. And so I say, you have to see and control what is happening, And you have to look at yourself, where is India going in on the road? And we said that what happens in the countryside when some small legal firms have to do it, and this big comes, and you have to put this in an international context also. How will India work together with the rest of the world? Will there be equal rules all over, or will it be a different or different part? So I say you have huge challenges, and it will be most interesting to follow what's happening.
Biggest challenge which I personally feel on a cyber side, enforcement agencies, the cyber crime side. I was there in a cyber crime office a couple of days back. What I got to know, in a month, they are getting 70,000 complaints in one cyber crime office. So that's the number which is coming out from office only. How many cyber crime officers, that numbers are going high. But even that's a number which person has gone and filed a complaint. Just understand the point. The complaints are filed by only 5% of people all over the world who've been cheated, basically, which we say. That's the number only. Whether we are equipped with the enforcement or not, that's a big question to me. That will follow the next question to Oliver. Now we want to speak about technology. She's being into litigation couple of years in a TMT or a litigating lawyer.
Yeah, so which is why I would kind of drag the conversation back to litigation. So we were talking about embracing technology, but actually I came with a bunch of points all in favor of technology and virtual hearings and all that, transparency, even taking care of corruption to some level, costs getting cut down. But since all of us are mostly stressing on the pros of embracing technology, I would like to also draw attention, which at some point has already been mentioned, is that you can only embrace something which is available. Now, we were already struggling with equality of justice.